Snoopy was stabbed by a spear. The Human Torch is denied a bank loan. The arsonist has oddly shaped feet. The skeleton ran out of shampoo in the shower. Oh, sleep now. Hello, let's do this. It's Romeo and Juliet. I was going to say rock and roll time. It's Romeo and Juliet time. Okay, big scene today. Key scene today. This bit's fun. Also, I'm aware that some people do drama for GCSE, right? All cards on the table. I haven't got a clue what you need for the actual drama GCSE qualification. And I'm an English teacher who has always been slightly scared of teaching drama. I just remembered I had my volume up at full blast yesterday. I hope that looks like it should be a bit better. Sorry if I just blew your eardrums off. So yeah, I fear drama and often look for tips on best ways to teach it or interesting ways to teach it because I'm not confident about that myself. Having said that, it just feels to me like this scene is an interesting one for performing. So, let's see, shall we? I'll explain why, and I've actually, and this is unusual for me, got ideas, got opinions on how this ought to be performed. I'll explain why when we get to the key bit. Basically, Romeo and Juliet got married now. Hooray! What could possibly go wrong? Absolutely nothing. So, let's head to the centre of Verona, where Benvolio and Mercutio are having a nice little chat. Watch out for the very nice creation of atmosphere at the start. It's a really hot day. You know, the sort of day where it's so hot that you're grumpy and easily annoyed. The sort of hot day that could lead to trouble. Notice, and throughout these readings I've said this, Shakespeare using the time-honoured technique, just as Steinbeck did, just as Priestley did, just as Cormier does, of emotional high or a positive moment, and then hits you with some drama or bad moments. Yeah, let's see how this goes. Benvolio telling Mercutio, it's hot, it feels scary, the Capulets are around, let's go in. We don't want to meet the Capulets because if we do, there's going to be it's going to be a fight. Boomtown Rats fans. There's one for the kids. I pray thee, good Mercutio, let's retire. The day is hot, the Capulets abroad, and if we meet, we shall not escape a brawl. For now, these hot days is the mad blood stirring. Mercutio puts him down. Like one of those fellows that when he enters the confines of a tavern, claps me his sword upon the table and says, God, send me no need of thee, and by the operation of the second cup, draws it on the drawer, when indeed there is no need. Yeah, you're the sort of guy who goes into a pub, puts his sword on the table and says, I don't want to use my sword, and then quickly gets into an argument when there's no need and draws his sword on somebody. Am I like such a fellow? Come, thou art as hot a jack in thy mood as any in Italy, and so soon moved to be moody as soon moody to be moved. What two? Nay, and there were two such. We should have none shortly, for one would kill the other. Thou, why, thou wilt quarrel with a man that hath a hair more or a hair less in his beard than thou hast. Thou wilt quarrel with a man for cracking nuts, having no other reason than because thou hast hazel eyes. What eye but such an eye would spy out such a quarrel? Thy head is as full of quarrels as an egg is full of meat, and yet thy head hath been beaten as addle as an egg for quarrelling. Thou hast quarrelled with a man for coughing in the street, because he hath wakened your dog that lay asleep in the sun. Does thou not fall out with a tailor for wearing his new doublet before Easter? With another for tying his new shoes with an old ribbon, and yet thou shoot at me from quarrelling? Yeah. Oh, he gives all these supposed examples of times when he's argued with somebody. He's argued. There's some good bits. Shakespeare again using normal speech rather than iambic pentameter, because Mercutio's just riffing here. He's just acting daft and talking very informally and making all this daft stuff up about you'll quarrel with a man because he's woke up your dog when he was asleep. You'll argue, the best one for me, you'll argue with a bloke because he's cracking nuts and you've got hazel eyes and hazelnuts somehow. That's an insult. Come on. Cracking nuts. People do that anymore? When I was a kid, my dad had a nutcracker. This big metal thing, looked like it came from a dentist's surgery. He put the nut in there. Do people do that anymore? They just buy it in big plastic bags with loads of salt poured in. Mm-hmm. And I was so apt to quarrel as thou art. Any man should buy the fee simple of my life for an hour and a quarter. Yeah, if I argued as much as you did, Mercutio, remember Mercutio's a real hothead. One minute he's laughing, the other minute he's angry or he's down. He said, if I was argued as much as you, my life wouldn't be worth anything, basically. Oh, the fee simple, oh simple. By my head, here come the Capulets. By my heel, I care not. Yeah, there's a bend for all your blunk and neck. They are coming, the Capulets, oh heck. And Mercutio, meh, I don't care. Whatever. Oh, he's dangerous, Mercutio, isn't he? Tybalt has arrived, yeah. Of all the Capulets to arrive, it's the Tibmaster. Remember, he's the guy who's the Prince of Cats, the great fighter, isn't he? Yeah? Follow me close, for I will speak to them. Gentlemen, good then. A word with one of you, and but a word with one of us. Couple it with something. Make it a word and a blow. So, Mercutio, always trying to be sarcastic, always joking, always messing with people, and not scared, and sometimes a bit aggressive. So here, he immediately is quite provocative. Yeah? Tybalt just walks up to someone and says, I want a word with one of you. And Mercutio says, oh, just a word? Why not a word and a blow? Yeah, have a word with me and a punch or a hit, a strike of some sort, yeah? Oh, and of course, Tybalt's. Or maybe it hasn't. Right. Okay. Right, hopefully you're picking me up now. It's kind of messing around a bit, but hopefully you'll be with you in a second. Yes, that's streaming. So I'm sorry about this, guys, but lappy. Laptop not happy at all. Right, nearly there. He lies. Oh. Right, I don't like the look of this, but maybe it'll be okay. It's the best I can say to you. Oh, it's responding quite slowly. That I don't like. Okay. Oh, okay, suddenly starting to perk up a little. Let's cross our fingers and I might be able to get us moving again in a sec. So, sorry about this. It's so frustrating. This Romeo and Juliet, I don't know if I've been a bit ambitious trying to plonk all this stuff on. All this fancy stuff, but I don't know. Well, you'll see. Right, let's see if we can find. Hey, right, I'm in the right spots. Boop. Seems to be reacting better now. All right, I'm sorry about that. Let's try and get through this scene if we can, eh? Oh dear. Okie dokie. So, Mercutio's turned up. And hello, Gladwalker. I seem to recall you from previous interactions. Yeah, so I had a blue screen. Terribly sorry about that. Never had that happen on this laptop. Just boof, it just went. So I'm sorry about that. We're back. Let's crack on, shall we? So, Mercutio sort of provoking Tybalt a little. Come on then, hit me. Tybalt, I will do if you give me a reason. Yeah, give me an occasion. So Mercutio's going to come back at him. Oh, I'm going to still not. Oh, this is what it did when it crashed. So hold tight, everyone. Okay. That's odd. Oh, I know why. All right. Look, can you... I'm going to leave Tybalt up there for the moment. I think that's for the best. Just to get things started again. So remember, you'll see here who's speaking. Down the bottom. So Mercutio, could you not take some occasion without giving? Mercutio, thou consortst with Romeo. Consort? What, dost thou make us minstrels? And thou make minstrels of us. Look to hear nothing but discord. Here's my fiddlestick. Here's that shall make you dance. Zounds, consort. So the argument is starting to kick off here. Because basically, and Tybalt uses a provocative phrase. He says, you consort with Romeo. Now that's got a double meaning. Consort can mean just you hang around with him, which is perfectly innocent. But it can also mean you're like his servant, like his slave. Well, that's not going to go down well with Mercutio, who immediately reacts angrily and says, consort? You got a cheek? Oh, I've got that thing going on top corner again. Good, good. You got a cheek? Well, here's my sword. You can argue with that. Sorry, the throat's gone as well, just to add to it all. Benvolio, we talk here in the public haunt of men, either withdrawn to some private place and reason coldly of your grievances, or else depart. Here all eyes gaze on us. You know, look, either go out of the public place because everyone's looking, or go, leave. Look, you should know. Men's eyes were made to look. Let them gaze. I will not budge for no man's pleasure, are you? They're not going anywhere. And then, of course, in comes Romeo, just to make life a bit more complicated. Well, peace be with you, sir. Here comes my man. Remember, Tybalt issued a challenge to Romeo. He wanted to fight a duel with him. Mercutio angry again, taking a double meaning, which Tybalt meant, I'm sure. Your man can just be a man, but it can also be my man, Tybalt. He doesn't want to fight with him. Tybalt, the reason that I have to love thee doth much excuse the appertaining rage to such a greeting. Villain am I none, therefore farewell. I see thou knowest me not. Yeah, so no, I'm not going to fight you. You don't know me well enough. No, I love you, he says. Boy, this shall not excuse the injuries that thou hast done me. Therefore turn and draw. Don't walk away from me, boy. Get your sword out. Use of the word boy, yeah? I do protest I never injured thee, but love thee better than thou canst devise, till thou shalt know the reason of my love. And so, good Capulet, which name I tender as dearly as my own, be satisfied. Yeah, so he says, no. You love me. I love you more than you could understand. But until you know why, because of course it's secret, as Romeo and Juliet, you won't get it. So he says, be satisfied. I'm not going to fight you. There's nothing to fight over. And he even says to him, Capulet, which name I tender as dearly as mine own. I love the name Capulet as much as I love the name Montague. That's a shocker, isn't it? In the Zeffirelli film, which you're bound to watch at some point, I'm sure, in English. Well, you will do in English. This is where I was talking about staging for drama students. This is where it goes wrong in that film. And it's a brilliant film in so many ways. It's amazing. It's a superb imagination of the play. But I think they get this bit badly wrong from this point. Because at this bit in the film, Mercutio starts laughing. Like Romeo's giving him like a sarcastic answer. He's not giving him a sarcastic answer. He's chickened out of a duel. You know, there's this idea of honour that You know, a man is challenged to a duel, he must accept the duel or he's brought shame on the family. So Mercutio doesn't respond by thinking, ha ha ha. Romeo says, no, I love you, Tybalt. I can't tell you why yet, but your family is as important to me as mine is. I'm not going to fight you. And Mercutio is horrified and responds like this. Far from laughing, he's furious. Oh, calm, dishonourable, vile submission. Alistair Carter carries it away. He's disgusted at Romeo for being a coward. It's submission. He's just given up. He's furious, and he's basically Mercutio, who's, let's be plain here, a friend of the Montagues. He's not a relative. He's going to fight in the name of the Montagues to save their family honour because he thinks Romeo is a coward. So it's not funny. It's not, ha ha ha, he made a joke. He pulls his sword out. Tybalt, you rat catcher, will you walk? Yeah, come on, boy. Let's fight. What wouldst thou have with me? Good king of cats, nothing but one of your 9 lives that I mean to make bold withal, and as you shall use me hereafter, dry beat the rest of the 8. Will you pluck your sword out of its pilcher by the ears? Make haste, lest mine be about your ears ere it be out. Oh, and then the chilling words, I am for you. Yeah, all right, then I'll kill you instead. Fine. Yeah, so Mercutio challenges him to a fight. Romeo's horrified. Steps up. Gentle Mercutio, put thy rapier up. But put your sword away. But Mercutio's ignored. Come, sir, you're passado. And they fight. Now then, here is the other key bit that bothers me about the Romeo and Juliet adaptation by Zeffirelli. This really is badly, badly wrong, I think. And so when I talk again about drama students and staging, well, I don't know exactly how relevant it will be for your studies, but I can tell you that this is certainly something to consider in the staging of the scene. The only instruction we get from Shakespeare is they fight. And then there'll be another stage direction in just a moment, okay? Which I'll show you. But in the Zeffirelli film, it's a comedy scene. They fight like a joke. Tybalt and Mercutio are sort of joking around. Both of them have ample opportunity to kill the other one and don't take it, okay? Now, obviously in drama, you have scope, don't you, to interpret something as you feel you should. But I can't help but feel I completely disagree with Zeffirelli on this. Where did Shakespeare imply that there was a fun element to it? Duels were to the death. They're a matter of honour. Mercutio has stepped in because Romeo has disgraced the family name, and this feud is so deep. Even a friend of the family will step in and fight the best fighter in the city because it's such a disgrace what Romeo's, he thinks, just done. So I don't see this comedy thing at all. It makes no sense. I'll read this next bit and then I'll complete my point. So Romeo's horrified at the fighting and tries to stop them. Firstly, he calls Benvolio to try and help him get his sword out and beat the swords down. Then he tries to step in himself. So draw, Benvolio. Beat down their weapons. Gentlemen, for shame, forbear this outrage. Tybalt, Mercutio, the prince especially hath forbidden bandying in Verona streets. Hold, Tybalt. Good Mercutio, and he's trying to step in between them. And Tybalt, under Romeo's arm, stabs Mercutio and flies with his followers. Now, again, in the film, it's portrayed as a sort of accident. Although Tybalt has been joking with Mercutio, but starts to get a little bit frustrated because Mercutio's making him look a bit daft joking around. Well, that would, I'm sure, fit in with character, and I understand where the director's coming from there, but the fact of the matter is, that doesn't say that, does it? Romeo stepped in between them, stopped the fight, and he stepped in between them, and for me, although, okay, this was my interpretation, Tybalt has seen his chance, gone under Romeo's arm and stabbed Mercutio, and then runs away with all his mates. Makes more sense to me in the context of the fight and the reasons for the fight. Okay, or maybe you could also, and I think this is legitimate, that it is an accident. Romeo steps in the way, it stops Mercutio raising his sword, and Tybalt's already stabbing. But still, that's that. He's just stabbed him. Tybalt runs away. This next bit is, well, it's good. It's powerful. And Mercutio, even though he has been stabbed, still can't resist joking around, believe it or not. When he's asked, have you been hurt? He'll say, oh, yeah, yeah, oh, it's just a scratch, like joking around, trying to be the big man. It's how big is it? It's not as wide as a church door. It's not as deep as a grave, but it's enough. Yeah? Okay, so he's joking about. I'm hurt. A plague on both your houses. I'm spared. Is he gone and hath nothing? What? Art thou hurt? Aye, aye, a scratch. Marry, 'tis enough. Yeah, it's enough to kill me. Where's my page? Go, villain. Fetch a surgeon. And the page leaves. Romeo. Courage, man. The hurt cannot be much. No, 'tis not so deep as a well. Sorry, said the grave, didn't I? Nor so wide as a church door, but 'tis enough. 'Twill serve. Ask for me tomorrow, and you will find me a grave man. I am peppered, warrant for this world. A plague on both your houses. Zounds, a dog, a rat, a mouse, a cat to scratch a man to death. A braggart, a rogue, a villain that fights by the buck of arithmetic. Why the devil came you between us? I was hurt under your arm. I thought all for the best. Help me into some house, Benvolio, or I shall faint. A plague on both your houses. They have made worms meat of me. I have it, and soundly too. Your houses. So, again, generally, and if Zephyr film is an example of this, I'm not the only one, people think Mercutio's joking in this scene. That's how directors tend to interpret it. The text doesn't necessarily suggest that. It's a straight conversation, isn't it, really? They try to say, oh, it can't be too bad. And Mercutio, well, it is. It's bad enough to kill me. He's sarcastic with this. Oh, it's not as wide as a church door. It's not as deep as a well. But, yeah. He's angry at Romeo. You did this to me. You stepped between us. What the hell were you playing at? Yeah? And a plague on both your houses. I hate the Capulets and the Montagues. I hate both families. You've made worms meat of me. Yeah, I'm going to be dead and buried, and worms are going to be eating away at me now. Thanks. He also said, again, still joking even when he's been stabbed, look for me tomorrow and you will find a grave man. Another one with double meaning. Grave, and we still use the same thing meaning today. Grave can mean serious, so a grave man is a serious or sad man, but also he's in his grave, he's saying. Yeah? So Mercutio is taken away by Benvolio. He tells him, get me away, get me somewhere where I can get some help. This gentleman, the prince's near ally, my very friend, hath got his mortal hurt in my behalf, my reputation stained with Tybalt's slander. Tybalt an hour hath been my kinsman. O sweet Juliet, thy beauty hath made me effeminate, and in my temper softened valour's steel. Sexist, yeah? Oh my gosh, he's been killed on my behalf, or stabbed. Well, he says killed. Mortal hurt on my behalf. My reputation's stained by Tybalt's slander. Tybalt's insulted me, even though he's been my relative for an hour. And then Mercutio goes and takes the head. And the sexist bit, sweet Juliet, your beauty has made me effeminate. Your beauty has made me effeminate and made me like a woman, so I didn't fight. Benvolio comes back in. Oh, Romeo, brave Mercutio's dead. That gallant spirit hath aspired the clouds, which unto too untimely here did scorn the earth. He's dead. Oh my gosh. Romeo now, angry and horrified. This day's black fate on more days doth depend. This but begins the war, others must end. This is just the start of this. And then Benvolio, here comes the furious Tybalt back again. Alive, in triumph and Mercutio slain, away to heaven, respective lenity, in fire-eyed fury be my conduct now. Romeo is fuming. Again, in the Zeffirelli film, Tybalt runs away, Romeo runs after him. In this, no, Tybalt comes back, as if to brag. Oh, yeah. Where's the guy I killed? Yeah, and it's the furious Tybalt, Benvolio describes him as. So, you know, we're not talking here about an accident. We're talking about a cold-eyed killer, which is what Tybalt's been from the start. He's killed Mercutio, and now he's back. Is he back for Romeo, perhaps? Romeo now is furious. He's lost it completely. Now, Tybalt, take the villain back again that thou gavest me. For Mercutio's soul is but a little way above our heads, staying for thine to keep him company. Either thou or I or both must go with him, yeah? So take your insult back. Mercutio's spirit is just above our heads. He's waiting for you, or me, or both of us to go with him, yeah? Come on, I'll have you. Tybalt, again, no apology here, thou wretched boy that did consort him here, shall with him hence you hung around with him on earth. You'll be with him in the afterlife. Romeo gets his sword out. This shall determine that. And again, staging. Shakespeare leaves loads for you to think about, loads for you to interpret, because all he writes is they fight, Tybalt falls. Romeo's taken on the best fighter in Verona, but he's killed him. Romeo's killed Tybalt, filled with the fury of seeing his best friend die. He's killed him. Wow. Things are going a bit awkwardly here, don't you think? Relationship-wise. Benvolio, Romeo, way begone, the citizens are up, and Tybalt slain. Stand not amazed, the prince will doom thee death if thou art taken. Hence, be gone away, get out, get out. Death sentence, remember? Aeschylus said, fight in the streets, death sentence. Romeo, oh, I am fortune's fool. Why dost thou stay? And Romeo goes, and the soldiers turn up. So, yeah, again, remember I talked about fate. I am fortune's fool. Can't believe this. Fate is against me. Remember Romeo saying as he's about to go to the party, fate is being governed by somebody up there. Please, make sure you steer me safely. So the army arrive. I'll skip a tiny bit because basically it's exposition. Exposition is when you sort of retell a part of the story, which Shakespeare does occasionally. And like I said at the very start, maybe because a lot of the people watching aren't very educated, and so they maybe need little reminders and explanations of what's going on as we go through. Stories often have exposition in them. If you think of films you watch, you'll notice it quite often. Characters just going over things a bit, just to explain or remind us of things. Ironically, hey, let's bring it back from the dead for a second. See Tybalt there in the top corner, played by Michael York in that film. So that's the actor Michael York. And in the Austin Powers films, when he's much older, he plays Austin Powers' boss. And Austin Powers' boss, basically, as often is done in those sorts of spy movies and thrillers, is not an active character. He's just used to basically remind us of what's happened in the plot, or tell Austin Powers something that has happened, Like James Bond film. Bond, we need you to go to South Korea because something has happened, and explain to him what Spectre have done, yeah? And so Michael York, the actor, his character is called Basil Exposition because his role is to do exposition, to retell stuff. Sorry, that's beside the point, isn't it? Benvolio basically now just goes through what's happened. The citizens, if you like, the army have arrived, and he's explaining what's happened. And then Aeschylus, remember Aeschylus, the prince? He arrives and is asking, where are the vile beginners of this fray? And again, Benvolio honestly tells us what happened. And Lady Capulet now has turned up. And she's heartbroken. Tybalt, my cousin, oh, my brother's child. Oh, prince, oh, cousin, husband. Oh, the blood is spilt. Oh, my dear kinsman. Princes, thou art true, for blood of ours shed blood of Montague. Ooh. So, prince, you said, if someone fights, you will execute them. He has just been killed by Romeo, so you must now have Romeo killed. Yeah, the blood of Tybalt has been spilled. Now the blood of Montague must be spilled. Whoa. The prince asks Benvolio who began this. And again, I'm going to skip Benvolio. This is all exposition. This is all Benvolio telling the truth. Just telling us what happened. Obviously, Lady Capulet doubts that he's telling the truth. He is a kinsman to the Montague. Affection makes him false. He speaks not true. Some 20 of them fought in this black strife, and all those 20 could but kill one life. I beg for justice, which thou, prince, must give. Romeo slew Tybalt. Romeo must not live. Yeah? He's lying. He's a Montague. He's lying. Romeo killed Tybalt. So Romeo must be executed. Wrong man. Keep trying to bring Tybalt back from the dead, don't I? The prince, Romeo slew him. He slew Mercutio, who now the price of his dear blood doth owe, So the prince says, well, hang on. He killed Mercutio. Now, then Romeo killed him. So, if you want Montague blood, well, Mercutio's been killed by Tybalt. Tybalt had been punished. Montague has turned up, Romeo's dad, and he tries to argue from Romeo's point of view. Not Romeo, prince. He was Mercutio's friend. His fault concludes, but what the law should end, the life of Tybalt. Good argument. You should be a lawyer. You mustn't kill Romeo. You can't excuse him. All he's done is carry out the law. Tybalt and Mercutio fought. Tybalt killed Mercutio. So Tybalt has to be executed. All Romeo's done is execute Tybalt. So he's done your job for you. Fair enough, I take his point. But he's also killed someone in the streets, hasn't he? I mean, the prince can't look that stupid, can he? So the prince will make his decision. And for that offence, immediately, we do exile him hence. Yeah? So my punishment is kicking him out of town. He's got to leave Verona, so he will get a punishment. And think about him and Juliet. He'll have to be away from Juliet for the rest of his life. That is a major punishment. Okay. I have an interest in your hate proceeding. My blood for your rude brawls doth lie a-bleeding. But I'll immerse you with so strong a fine that you shall all repent the loss of mine. I will be deaf to pleading and excuses, nor tears nor prayers shall purchase out abuses. Therefore use none, let Romeo hence in haste, else when he's found, that hour is his last. Bear hence this body and attend our will, mercy but murders, pardoning those that kill. Yeah, I can't just let Romeo off, because mercy but murders. If you let people off, you cause death. If you pardon the people who kill. So no, I can't let him off. But he did kill Tybalt, who would have been executed. So his punishment's exile. That big speech, big pronouncement by Aeschylus, which you'll notice is in rhyming couplets. Every line rhymes with the next one in pairs. Yeah, offence, hence, proceeding, a bleeding, fine, mine, excuses, abuses, haste and last, I will come back to in a second, will and kill, showing the formal nature of it. This is like a judge giving a sentence, so it's got a very formal use of language. I'll stop here. I'll just go back to that haste and last. This is something I'm interested in, but I'm not a total expert on. The great vowel shift, the way that English words were said, shifted quite a lot. So Chaucer, seen as the first really great writer of English, who lived a good 300 years or so before Shakespeare, around the time of Chaucer's life, although it happened over a long period and it happened in different areas at different points, and happened more in some areas than others, the pronunciation of vowels changed. That sounds odd, but it did in England. And so Shakespeare, if Shakespeare was talking to us now, it would sound odd because, it's 500 years old, like English. But you'd follow him. You'd be able to follow what he's saying. It would just feel a bit different the way he says some things. Shakespeare, though, would probably have quite a lot of trouble understanding what Chaucer says, because noises, the sounds we've made, the vowel sounds have changed massively. I might do a video on that. I might do. But so maybe last and haste may well have rhymed in Shakespeare's days. Okay, right. I'm going. I'm so sorry that I crashed halfway through. I really apologise for that. I'll see what I can do about it. Last time I fixed it fairly well, but I do apologise. See you next time then, chaps. Tomorrow, 10 o'clock.